So if the Democrats can't run on their agenda and the Democrats can't run on what they've accomplished, they run on a bad guy. The Democrats need a villain. And the villain, it can't be Mark Zuckerberg. They tried that when the public doesn't really care about that issue. It can't be the greedy financiers. You know, the public now says we need less government. It's not going to be the hedge fund makers or the hedge fund guys. It's not going to be the private equity guys. It's not going to be insurance guys. It's not going to be pharmaceutical companies that at a time of a global pandemic, they can't afford to make the pharmaceutical companies bad guys. Sure as heck isn't going to be China. So it's going to be you. It's going to be me. We're going to be the bad guys. The Democrats, first of all, want to fixate on Donald Trump. Now, here's a problem. There are some areas of the country where Donald Trump will galvanize Democrats, but he also galvanizes Republicans and even some independents. In places like Ohio, Donald Trump might actually help turn out the Republican vote. In parts of Texas, Florida, he might help more than he hurts. Democrats have to be careful. Which is why you're starting to see this strange amalgamation of villains. The newest villain for the Democrats are the whiners. If you complain about not being able to get something because of the supply chain problems, you're a selfish, greedy, whining SOB. Shut up. Nobody cares about your lack of toilet paper. People are dying of the virus. Shut up. I mean, we're literally getting lectured by Democratic politicians that if you complain about something, people are dying. How can you be so selfish? You can't get your brisket. It sounds a little all overwrought to me, but they need a villain. So if you're complaining about the supply chain, they want to shut you up. You see, this goes back to the way a lot of authoritarian regimes operate. They need you to be silent. You can't talk about these issues. It's why we have to talk about these issues. Facebook apparently is going to start downgrading you in the algorithm if you use Let's Go Brandon. It's hate speech, don't you know? They need a villain. So it's going to be the whiners who complain about the supply chain because you're selfish. You're putting yourself ahead of America. It's going to be the unvaccinated. We've already seen this happening. You got to have the unvaccinated. They are the bad guys. The pandemic will end when everyone gets vaccinated, except now, they're actually saying that if we get every kid in America vaccinated, we still need to wear masks all the time. We're just going to have to keep masks. Flus, we wiped out the flu. We've wiped out the flu because of the COVID restrictions. So let's keep the restrictions to keep the flu from coming back. And every kid now needs to get vaccinated. And if you don't, why do you hate your grandmother? Why are you letting your grandmother die? You're the bad guy. You unvaccinated pilots who are causing shortages for airlines. You're the bad guy. You're disrupting people's travel because you're selfish. You're the bad guy. Oh, and you Trump supporters. You're the ones doing it too. It's all Trump and the Trump supporters' fault. That's why we got to keep the January 6th commission going. Yes, a majority of Americans do want the January 6th commission to figure out what the heck happened, but most Americans, they're not really blaming Trump at this point. Trump is an afterthought to most Americans, and the Biden administration, they need a villain. They need to bring Trump back. Donald Trump campaigning around the country plays into the Democrats' hands in large part because they need to keep him there in public at the forefront of people's minds, saying it's either us or him. At this point, though, what the Democrats don't understand is a lot of people are saying, yeah, I may go back to that guy. I mean, the Democratic bubble, they're wrapped up so much in a bubble that everybody must hate Donald Trump. They never want to go back to him. Let's stay over here, except it's not going to work out that way. The Democrats, they may all hate Trump, but a lot of Americans are saying, we didn't have these empty shelves when Trump was around. We didn't have inflation when Trump was around. They're also making parents the villains. You parents showing up complaining about critical theory, you're just a bunch of racist dog whistle bigots. How dare you go to school and tell the school what they should teach your children? You're not an educator. How should you know? Shut up. You're the bad guys. Non-union workers, you're the bad guys. You've even got some Republicans in on this one. J.D. Vance, Blake Masters running in Arizona and others, they're all pro-union. They want to grow the union workforce. Raise wages, they say. Improve worker rights, they say. It'll cost everyone else a whole lot of money. The Democrats are all about you ununionized workers. Y'all are the ones causing the problems. You're the ones whose wages aren't keeping up. You're the ones who are allowing these companies to get so big. It's all your fault. And the police, my gosh, you're a bunch of white cracker racists out there, you police officers. Doesn't matter whether you're black or Hispanic. You too are part of white supremacy. You're the bad guy. You need to be defunded. But nobody's talking about defunding, mind you. We're just reprioritizing. No, nobody really wants to defund the police. The Democrats have a collection of villains. They're not nearly as impressive as Batman's villains. There's no Joker. There's no Riddler. There's just Trump supporters, the unvaccinated, the people who are upset they can't get what they want at the grocery store, the middle class. You're all the bad guys. The Democrats have to have a villain. They can't run on what they've accomplished. They can't run on what they're going to accomplish. They can't run anymore on Joe Biden being a uniter. They can't run on Afghanistan. All they can run on is stop the other guy from coming back.